Have Coach Bohl come up and present this year's class. We'll go through videos of each student athlete, and then we will have questions from the media afterwards. But I want to welcome all the media who are here, and also want to welcome those who are watching on GoWyo.com. At this point, I'll introduce Head Coach Craig Bohl.
Thank you, Tim. Well, it's great to see everybody. It's been a little bit of a while, and our coaches have crisscrossed the country, and this truly is an exceptional class. And a lot of things went into it. First of all, I think we were very intentional about our plan of staying true to the Wyoming profile. A young man that wants to get a meaningful degree from a great institution and then have a laser-like focus on winning the Mountain West Conference Championship. Along with that, a lot of man hours. Certainly want to note Gordy's efforts in directing all our assistant coaches and myself and our support staff. He laid out a great plan. I want to thank Tom Berman and the administration for providing us with the resources to be able to canvass not only the state of Wyoming in our immediate area, but outlying areas as well. And another reason for, I think, a great class is the electric atmosphere that occurred at War Memorial Stadium. Many of these young men had an opportunity to do in-season visits, and certainly the atmosphere had significantly changed. I think War Memorial, in a short amount of time, had transitioned into a great college atmosphere. And so when you put all those things together, we had a plan, we worked the plan. Certainly these young men that we're going to talk about bought into that, and you know, we've got some great things going at the University of Wyoming. So I want to start out just acknowledging that. I want to say thanks to our assistant coaches too for the amount of time and effort that they spent crisscrossing the country. So let's go ahead and start with our presentation. The first state that we want to address is the state of Wyoming. It's always important for us to continue to recruit Wyoming. We have several walk-ons that are from the state of Wyoming, but we will talk about Logan Harris. Logan is from Torrington High School. He stands 6'3", 275 pounds. You can see some of the highlights here. He's a two-time Wyoming Super 25 player, a 2016 USA Today All-Wyoming first-team offense and defensive lineman, an all-conference player. He helped Torrington advance to the quarterfinals, and Torrington's made great progress, and certainly Logan has had a big part of that. Part of an offensive line that blocked for the Class 3A leading rusher. He also participates in track and field and finished first in the state shot put last year and second in discus. And so you got a big, strong guy, and anytime we have that kind of fellow in the state of Wyoming, we're certainly pleased to have him join our squad. The next state we'd like to talk about is the state of Colorado. There's two players from the state of Colorado. Keegan Kreider is an offensive tackle. Keegan stands 6'4", he's 260 pounds, played at Dakota Ridge High School, rated as the 19th best player in the state of Colorado. 2016 honorable mention, All-State, second team All-State in 2015. He was one of the players that came to our camp along with Logan and really played well and really excelled, and so we're certainly excited for Keegan. He was part of an offensive line that had the top rushing teams the last 2 years in a row in 4A, so really pleased with Keegan's commitment to us. The next young man from the state of Colorado is Asias Gandy, safety from Denver South High School. Asias stands 6'1", 183 pounds. He's a first-team player in the 2016 class. He helped South gain the #1 seed in the Class 4A playoffs and advanced to the quarterfinals. He's an athlete that played linebacker, safety, tight end, running back, wide receiver in his senior year. Ranked 5th in the Colorado as far as total tackles, 155 tackles. So that's really impressive. And what also is unique, he had 10 sacks and 1 interception. And so a guy that really does an awful lot of things, and we're excited about what he's going to bring to the University of Wyoming. The next state that we're going to address and talk about is the state of Nebraska. Patrick Arnold is the first player we're going to talk about from the state of Nebraska. Patrick is an offensive lineman, 6'3", 290 pounds. He's from Gretna High School. He was rated as the 9th best player in the state of Nebraska. He's also a high honor student, 2016 Omaha World Herald Super 6 player, and he's also a first-team All-State player, and not only the Omaha World Herald, but also the Lincoln Journal-Star. He helped Gretna advance to the Class B playoffs. He was a 3-sport athlete. He wrestles and a track and field thrower. You know, he's a high academic young man, and he was recruited by Navy, Army, Air Force, and Nebraska. So we're really pleased to have Patrick. Also, he's an avid hunter. He and his family spent many days out hunting in Wyoming many years ago. Rudy Stouffer is an offensive tackle. He hails from Kearney, Nebraska. He's 6'6", 255 pounds, ranked as the 10th best player in the state of Nebraska. 2016 Lincoln Journal-Star Super State First Team, 2016 Lincoln Journal-Star All-State, 2016 Omaha World Herald Second Team Defensive Lineman. He helped Kearney advance to the first round of the Class A playoffs. On defense, he had 106 total tackles, 48 solos, 7 sacks, 3 fumbles. So we're going to look at Rudy over on offense, but he's really an athletic guy. Rudy was recruited by Iowa State, Nebraska, North Dakota State, and Northern Iowa. So that's Rudy. Davion Wells-Ross is a linebacker. We believe Devo, as we call him. He stands 6'5", 190 pounds. He's a great track guy. I think he ran last year at 10.7 in the 100 meters. I've seen him play in the secondary. He's rated as the 8th best player in the state of Nebraska. 2016 Omaha World Herald Second Team, Omaha World Herald First Team All-Metro. Lincoln Journal-Star had him as a Second Team All-State player. Omaha North's got a great football program, and he helped Omaha North advance to the semi-Class A playoffs. 2016 he had 65 total tackles and 24 solos. He was an all-state basketball player also, and he had 11 tackles for a loss. It's interesting, the principal at Omaha North, his son had played football at the University of Wyoming, so there certainly was a connection there. Devo was recruited by Iowa State, Nebraska, Illinois State, and South Dakota State along with us. Moving on to the state of Illinois, there are 6 players. Keon Blankenbaker is a corner out of Oak Park River Forest High School. We have a current player on our team from the high school. He stands 5'10", 170 pounds. 2016, 2015 West Suburban Silver All-Conference. This is impressive. He was a 2-time captain along with being a starter. He helped Oak Park advance to the first round of the Class 8A playoffs. It's interesting, his cousin, Mike Green, who's from Sacramento, he and Mike are cousins, and he's also teammates with Jared Scott, who we'll talk about just in a couple moments, and Jamari Moore is a current linebacker on our squad. Keon was heavily recruited by Cincinnati, Buffalo, and Central Michigan. The next player that's from the East St. Louis area, from Althoff Catholic High School, C.J. Colden, cornerback. Got great length. He's 6'1", 175 pounds. 2016 Illinois Football Coaches Association 4A First Team All-State. He was a 3-star recruit. Helped Althoff Catholic advance to the quarterfinals of the 4A playoffs. He's an excellent basketball player, one of the top 65 players in the state of Illinois. And Illinois typically has got great hoops. He was a 2-way player, wide receiver and DB. We had some conversations about him potentially doing both, but right now we're just going to have him focus on defense. 2016 on offense, he had 58 receptions for 965 yards, 11 touchdowns. That's impressive. And then over on defense, he had 49 tackles, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions. He was recruited by Bowling Green, Miami of Ohio, and New Mexico. Avante Cox, Rochester High School. It's right around the Springfield area. A wide receiver. He stands 5'11", 175 pounds. Their team won the 4A state championship, an excellent program. 2016 USA Today All USA Illinois second team, 2016 Chicago Tribune All-State honorable mention, and 2016 Champaign News Gazette All-State team. Ranked third in the state with 1,167 yards in reception in this past season. Also, he had 25 touchdowns, 21 receiving, 2 rushing, and 1 punt return, and 1 kickoff return. So you're looking at a guy that can do a whole lot with the football. He did play some defense, 43 tackles, 33 of those are solos, 4 tackles for losses, 3 interceptions. He was recruited by Illinois State, University of South Dakota, Western Illinois, and Eastern Illinois. So that's Avante Cox. Jared Scott. Jared Scott is also from Oak Park River Forest. He was a 3-star recruit, rated as the 26th best player in Illinois. What's unique about Jared here, and you'll see this on tape, Jared stands 6'6", 215 pounds. He's an all-state basketball player, one of top 65 basketball players in Illinois according to the Preps Hoops. We talked about his teammates earlier. He was heavily recruited by Western Michigan and Ball State, and it really came down to his decision whether he wanted to be a football player or a basketball player. And he's got his heart set on playing football. Here you can see some tremendous catches that he's made. You know, he's a long, angular guy, will basically give us a great target on the outside. So that's Jared Scott. Xavier Valadez is a running back from Brother Rice High School. 6 foot, 185 pounds. 2016 Chicago Tribune All-State Special Team or Special Mention. In his second game in 2016, he rushed for 278 yards, scored 5 touchdowns. He was voted the National Athlete of the Week that week, and so it was a heck of a performance. He helped Brother Rice advance to the first round of the Class 8A playoffs. Brother Rice is a great traditional power in the Catholic League in Chicago, so that's Xavier. Our punter, Tim Zaleski, stands 6'5", 215 pounds, out of St. Rita High School. And we like to have punters that, one, are athletic and have long levers, and you can see his ability here. Anybody that's 6'5" and can swing like that, that's really gonna, we've got the makings of a great, great punter with a big, big upside. We also like the fact that Tim played other positions as well, so he's a competitive athlete. 2016 Chicago Tribune All-State Team Special Mention. 2016 Champaign News Gazette All-State Special Mentions. Also, he helped St. Rita advance to the first round of the 7A playoffs. 31 punts. He averaged close to 41 yards per punt. He's also an excellent wide receiver. He had 39 receptions for 720 yards, 10 TDs. He was heavily recruited by Northern Illinois. He did take a look at the military academy and Air Force and chose to play for the Cowboys. Moving out to the western part of the country, the state of California, we signed 5 players, and this one's going to be a tongue twister for me. I call him Bob or Ryan, but Gordy's got it down here. He's from Intercom High School out of Sacramento, and his last name is pronounced Noi Tolo Ei Fopulu. What do you think of that, Gordy? Close? I love it, and he loves me, so we'll work on the last name. 3-star recruit, and ranked 122nd best player in the entire state of California. 2016 Sacramento Bee All-Metro First Team. Teammates with Victor Jones, and so we're excited about those 2 guys. Their high school team advanced to the championship in San Joaquin Valley Division II semifinals. He was recruited by Nebraska, University of California, Berkeley, Fresno State, Nevada, New Mexico, and San Jose State. So he had a lot of recruiting traffic. But we're excited about Ryan. Ravante Holtz, a defensive lineman, stands 6'4", 260 pounds, from the Sacramento area also. He's from Sheldon High School. 2016 Sacramento Bee All-Metro Honorable Mention. Helped Sheldon advance to the quarterfinals in the Division I sectional playoffs. 2016, he had 99 total tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 fumble recovery for a TD, 1 safety. He was recruited by North Dakota State, Cal Poly, UC Davis, and Sacramento State. So that's Ravante Certainly like his quickness inside. Victor Jones, Victor's teammates of Ryan, defensive end, 6'4", 235 pounds. He's got a python snake that he wants to bring here. We said he couldn't do that. So, three-star recruit, ranked 108th best player in the entire state of California. 2016 Sacramento Bee All-Metro first team. We already said he was teammates with Ryan, and their high school team went to the Division II sectional championship. He was heavily recruited. He was recruited by Cal, Oregon State, Utah, Colorado State, Fresno, Nevada, Hawaii, and New Mexico. So that's Victor right there. Our quarterback, Tyler Vanderval, 6'4", 210 pounds, out of Christian Brothers High School. He was a three-star recruit. 2016 Sacramento Bee All-Metro first team. He helped Christian Brothers advance to the championship game of the Division III sectional finals. 2016, he had 202 completions, 33 attempts, so he was completing at 61% of his passes, which is really exceptional for a high school quarterback. 2,900 yards. We like the touchdown to TD, touchdown to interception ratio, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. He can run the football as well. 118 carries for 378 yards, 6 TDs. He was recruited by Ball State, so that's Tyler right there. Wide receiver, Eric Sperlin Renfro. Eric stands 6'1", 180 pounds. Our high school, he's out of the Southern California area. Helped his high school team advance to the Southern Division 10 sectionals. He also runs track. We're intrigued by the fact last year he posted a 10.7 in the 100 meters. So he's a long guy that can run like crazy. He was recruited by Hawaii and San Jose. So exceptional there. Moving up the coastline to the state of Washington, 2 players. Trey Dorfner, a running back, 6 foot, 175 pounds, out of River Ridge High School in the state of Washington. 2017 Seattle Times Chip List member, recognized as the top 100 players in the state of Washington. 2016 the Olympian All-Area first team. 2016 Tacoma Tribune All-Area second team. So his athletic accomplishments are certainly well noted there. Helped River Ridge advance to the quarterfinals. A 2A player. He's a two-way player. He can play running back or safety. 2016 on offense, he had 116 carries, 1,300 yards, and we like the yard per carry. It's up to 8.2, and that always speaks well when a guy can be that productive. Along with that, he scored 25 touchdowns, and he gained 138 yards a game. On defense, he had 23 tackles. 20 of them were solos, 1 interception, returned 1 for 75-yard touchdown. He was recruited by Washington State, Eastern Washington, and Montana. Gavin Dozinski, a 3-star recruit, 6'6", 250 pounds. Big strapping guy out of the state of Washington there. Very smart, 3.993 GPA. I wonder what he got the hickey on there. Did not get a 4.0, but that was impressive there. Helped his high school team to advance to the first round of the 4A playoffs. He was recruited by Hawaii and Montana State. You'll notice a lot of big guys in this class that can move, guys that have length. Gavin stands 6'6" and 255 pounds. Okay, moving to the state of Wisconsin. Javari Jackson, a defensive lineman out of the Milwaukee area, 6'5", 250 pounds. First team 2016 Milwaukee Journal Sentinel Woodlands West Division I team. He was also the 2016 All-Suburban first team. He helped his high school, he helped West advance to the first round of Division II playoffs. He also plays basketball. He grew during the course of the year. He gained some weight, and Javari was recruited by North Carolina State and Iowa State. So once again, it's a big, strong guy to fortify that defensive line. Over out of Parker High School in Wisconsin by Janesville, there, Alonzo Vasquez, Offensive lineman, 6'6", 270 pounds. Three-star player, ranked 12th best player in the state of Wisconsin. 2016 All Big 8 Conference second team. He only played 3 years of football, part of an offensive line that fortified one of the top rushing teams the last 2 years in Division I. Alonzo really came on during the course of the year. We like his size and range. Anybody that's 6'6" and 270 pounds that has that kind of ability, it's really going to be somebody that we can work with. Out of the state of Ohio, we have one player, Nate Wyman's a tight end. Nate stands 6'7", 235 pounds. Just an exceptional player for the northwest or northeast part of Ohio. 2016 AP Division 5 All Ohio First Team. In this area, the northeast part of Ohio has got some exceptional football in it. We love the fact that he plays basketball as well. He's got great movement. He was recruited by Eastern Michigan, Miami, Ohio, and Ball State. And then we have one player from the state of Oregon, Trey Woods. Trey Woods is an athletic guy that does an awful lot of things in high school. We'll probably move him over on defense. We're looking at the linebacker position. His stature, he's 6'3", 210 pounds, out of North Bend High School, ranked as the 23rd best player in the state of Oregon, named one of the Oregon's top 20 honorable mention for the 2017 season. Won the 3A state championship in 2016, and their team was 11-0. He's an athlete that played running back, wide receiver, defensive end, linebacker, safety. In his high school career, he was recruited by Oregon and Oregon State. So we're excited about Trey. Colton Donovan is a graduate transfer. As a long snapper, we're going to need to pick up a long snapper. He's transferring from Southern Utah, and so we're excited about that. So that is our class. Something that I think is unique is that out of these young men that we just spoke about, we had an opportunity to watch live 16 of the 24 guys. And so the approach that we used in recruiting not only is one of taking advantage of all the technology that is available through social media and video, analyzing data there. We did a lot of old school things. We spent a lot of time with high school coaches. We were in a lot of high schools as well. And we were on the sideline, a lot of these guys. And so we really feel like that's been a great advantage for us. So we're certainly excited. Here you can see the breakdown by position. We've got one quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 inside offensive linemen, 3 offensive tackles, 1 long snapper, 3 defensive linemen, 1 defensive end, 2 linebackers, 2 cornerbacks, 1 safety, 1 punter. Like I said, we'll probably put Trey at the linebacker position. So pretty well diversified class. I wouldn't even say well pleased. This is an exceptional class, and we really believe in years to come they're going to give us some greatness. So I believe at this time, Tim, do you want me to open up to questions?
Questions. If you'll raise your hand if you have a question, and you'll get the microphone to you.
Coach, we talked a little bit throughout the end of the season there where the success that you guys were having on the field was kind of opening more and more doors for you in recruiting. I guess now that's all said and done, are you happy with how that translated to the guys that ended up on the
there's always a balance. Sometimes you think what comes first, the recruiting hard and getting good players, or the winning. They really work hand in glove. And as I noted at the beginning of the press conference, some of our guys came early in the year. A couple of guys from California, I think we're at the UC Davis game. So, a great game. But there's no doubt when we got on a roll and what was occurring late in the season, whether it was our championship game, which we came up short in, but it was a heck of a game, or when we played Boise State, or when we played San Diego State, and they saw the fans rush the field, that's what college football is about. And a lot of these guys looked and they appreciated the body of work that we had done in the recruiting process, building the relationship. But what they saw was what they wanted to be a part of. Yeah. We're streaming this.
And then know you got to get these guys in here and see how they acclimate, but is there potential for guys to come in and maybe compete for playing time, whether it's special teams or even starting jobs, or too deep, at least from what you've seen them on tape and what you like about it?
We believe so. Our rule of thumb that we use as far as playing a freshman, because that's a big decision, because typically you're trading their least productive year for their most productive year, their 5th year, typically. And so what we look at is there a positional need? Does the young man have the athleticism, and does he have the emotional maturity to do that? We don't have a crystal ball here. Certainly there's going to be some positional needs that we have next year. But a lot of these guys are going to play because they're really good players. And, our stance is we're here to win it now, and the guy that's going to help us win, I know we open up University of Iowa, and we're going to take a hard look at each one of these guys. And we're certainly going to be deeper than we've been. But whereas before some guys played just out of necessity, I think some of this is going to be because their emotional maturity and their ability.
All right, Coach, when you look at the offensive line, the 5 guys you recruited, some of the things that stood out is just how smart some of them, the degrees they were trying to obtain, and the success they had at the high school level. Was that intentional that you're looking for smart guys on the line, and if so, why?
Yeah, I can make we look for smart guys everywhere. Typically, offensive line is a complicated position, and there's a lot of moving parts. And so the capability to be able to pick up concepts and process things, many times there's a pretty significant correlation to how they're doing in school. And we take a look at all those things on all our guys, and there's certain positions that you take a really hard look at, and so that's one of the factors. Thanks for bringing that up.
Coach, I know you've talked about kind of wanting to build your program from the ground up with freshman recruits rather than too many JUCO transfers. Just one, obviously, this year in a specialty position. Is that kind of ideal, and does that maybe say something about the last few classes that you haven't needed to fill more holes with junior college transfers?
There's always going to be a place in our program for some junior college players, but I think it is an indication this is our 4th recruiting class, and we have had a clear plan, and Gordy executed a clear plan, and our coaches have bought in, including myself, and so I think we addressed our needs. And our standpoint is we're choosing to be a developmental program, and when you develop, you're usually going to have a better return on players if you have 4-year guys. And so that's been our philosophy, and I don't think it's by chance that you don't see that. Now I want to be real clear, that doesn't mean next year we won't have a couple guys, but I just can't see us being a school that's going to recruit 12 or 14 junior college players. That's not in our DNA here.
Okay, you said that you're intentionally going to every single one of these guys' homes. Why is that important for you to do as a head coach?
Yeah, and I'm going to have to do some of that after signing day. When you're building relationships, finding out more about each young man really makes a significant difference. When you're able to go into their home and meet family members and see where they're from, that allows me as a head football coach to relate to that guy. And it also, it's a point to them that they really do matter. Many of these guys were coming whether I came to their place or not. And sometimes as a head football coach, you can become a little bit disconnected. You can operate somewhat as a CEO, and to try to negate some of that, I always felt like it was important for me to make that connection. And it's always kind of enjoyable. We'll sit around on a Friday night meal before a game over at the Hilton here, or whether we're on the road, and I'll have a chance to ask them about their sister or how their dog's doing, or their baby brother, or something like that. And so, you know, recruiting is about relationships, and you know, I think Gordy has done a great job of, you know, taking advantage of all kinds of things, everything from technology, but never forgetting what really counts is building those relationships.
Coach, you talked about that you want to win now. How much did you preach that to the players that you brought in?
They saw it, and we focused on it. You know, we set those signs up in the IPF that those who stay will be champions, and that's what we're focused on. And you know, the makeup of our football program is to challenge. To do that, certainly a lot of things need to come into play, but you know, I've always believed this: you can't seize it unless you see it, and it's important for our players to see that that's an opportunity there. And it begins with the vision we have as a coaching staff that we impart to our players, that here's our expectations. And certainly recruits come, they know what we're looking for, and we're looking to build champions. And so we've been very intentional about that, and we don't apologize for talking about that. And so that's been a very direct message.
Hey, Coach. Logan Wilson came in as a redshirt freshman, playing a completely different position that he ended up playing on the field. How many of these kids that you see now might end up playing in a different position? Is that something you assess now or later on the field? You know,
well, typically we have made, you know, some decisions as we've gone. Trey is a guy that we talked about doing that with. And sometimes that comes into play just during fall camp, or you know, or what makeup they have when they get here. It's always discussions that we have with each player. Okay, we see you playing maybe a different position than what you played in high school, but that's part of, I think, one of the things that our staff has done very well is to be able to project and say, okay, this guy's 17 years old. Where's he going to be when he's 22? I know he plays this. Carl Branderson played wide receiver. And to make that projection and say, what's inside him, what is his physical capabilities, and how can that fit into our scheme? And so percentages are always dangerous, but you know, you got to at least look at about a third of them are going to play something different.
Exactly what are those things that you've taken from him?
Well, thanks for bringing that up, because that really has been a blueprint, and it works. And he and I talk quite often, and certainly football changes to a certain degree, but there's elements that really stay true and consistent. And it also comes down to, I think, the region of the country you're from, what kind of guy that you're recruiting. And so, you know, the thing that I always saw with Coach was, you know, to really play a physical brand of football. That in the end of the day, football is a physical game. I say it's a man's game played by men, and there's no place for the timid out there. But you can have that saying, and you can say you want to be Cowboy tough. It's not an easy thing to do, and so we have, I think, instilled that culture here. We're on the process, on the cusp of having guys really buy into that. I think an ability to be, you know, certainly we appreciated the fact how much we threw the football this last year, but really in the end of the day, we want to try to pound people, and that sounds simple too. You can't just do that. And then over on defense, to really be an outstanding defense to where we get those point totals down. And so that, and then when you have the right guys in place, you're gonna have good special teams players. So, you know, to stay true to that formula is sometimes it'll challenge you. And our staff and many of these guys were with us here at North Dakota State. You know, we had developed that, and coming here, it was a 180-degree difference. It was a 180-degree difference in about everything. And so that takes some time. And I want to, you know, say thanks to our assistant coaches, because they didn't waver on what they were being taught. I shouldn't what they were being taught, but what they taught the players. And so, Coach has had a big impact on my life as a coach and as a person. And, yeah, I know he sits up and smiles, he watches all our games.
Coach, you talked about the quarterback's ability to run and having him learn behind someone like Josh Allen. How much is that helping him, and can you maybe see the similarities between a quarterback learning behind Josh and that ability to run?
Are you talking about Tyler coming in this class, or are you talking about Josh?
No, I'm talking about Tyler.
Okay. You know, when we evaluated Tyler, we saw his ability to run, and I think it's imperative in today's game. You've got to have a mobile quarterback. Not to say that we're going to have a whole gamut of all kinds of different quarterback runs, but you know, you saw the advantage of Josh being able to make some plays out of nothing sometimes. I know that's always been frustrating for a defensive coach when your quarterback begins to scramble around, and then also have some predetermined quarterback runs. And so, you know, that's one of the things that Coach Vegan does a great job checking off. You know, we're not a run-first quarterback team, but the ability to have a mobile quarterback certainly opens up our playbook. And I think we've attracted the last several quarterbacks, you know, have fit that mold, and so we're really excited about Tyler being able to do that.
Coach, obviously, assistant coaches are a huge part of this, and you guys had a couple leave the program since the season ended. Just what kind of challenges does that add to this process, and do you feel like that had any effect on the kids who ended up signing?
Well, we always appreciate all our coaches, and I think thanks for bringing it up, because those assistant coaches, these men here, they drive the train. They really do. But also, I want to note Gordy's impact. You know, Gordy had a profound impact on this recruiting class, and spent a great deal of time, you know, putting together this class. And so, between his leadership and the efforts of our assistant coaches, you know, we certainly appreciated the coaches that are no longer with us with their efforts in recruiting. But I think maybe a little bit of an overstatement to say we didn't miss a beat, but I don't think we did.
You talk so much about relationships, and so when there are those moving parts, and there is like a guy like Kurt Mallory who's maybe heavily recruiting guys out of the Midwest, what do you do within your program to make sure that when a guy like that leaves, there are no misses or
well, you know, I think,
relationships?
you know, I first of all, I want to note some of the things that Gordy had done, his ability to communicate through social media and things like that. And then we do a lot of crossover in recruiting. You know, John Richardson, you know, the couple of the guys that were on that list were corners, and John spent a great deal of time in those homes and those communities. And then Avante, I know Mike Grant had a chance to watch Avante play. And so there's team recruiting that goes on, and that is a real secret to kind of, you're always going to have some transition, and as much coordinated efforts as you can have with the coaching staff all pulling the same way and speaking the same message. You know, what the recruit senses is stability. He senses, and his parents sense stability, and the fact that our university believed in our coaching staff and offered a 7-year contract for us, that sent a big message of stability too. And so I think those are really key points when you have some transition and movement. Okay, thanks a lot. Tim?
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Thanks for everybody who watched on Go Wyo. At this time, we'll open it up for one-on-one interviews with our assistant coaches and Coach Bohl. Thanks, everybody, again.